You did not wake up one morning and decide to become cold. It was not a strategy you learned from a book. It was not a philosophy you adopted because it sounded powerful. It happened quietly, almost invisibly, like ice forming over a lake. One conversation at a time, one betrayal at a time, one moment of clarity at a time. You began to notice patterns that others refused to see. You began to understand that most people are not relating to you. They are extracting from you. And the day you understood this, truly understood it at a cellular level, something inside you shut down, not in weakness, but in calculation. You stopped returning calls. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped participating in the theater of false connection. The people around you called it cold. They said you changed. They said you became distant, arrogant, unreachable. What they did not say, what they could not say, is that you simply stopped playing a game you finally understood was rigged against you. This is not about becoming a villain. This is about refusing to remain a victim in a world that rewards predators and punishes the naive. You are here because you have reached a threshold. You have accumulated enough data points, enough disappointments, enough moments of being used and discarded, that your intelligence finally overrode your emotional programming. Your brain, that magnificent pattern recognition machine, looked at the evidence and made a ruthless decision. These people are liabilities, not assets. This environment is hostile, not nurturing. This version of social engagement is a trap, not a community. And so you did what any intelligent organism does when it detects poison. You stopped consuming it. The world will tell you that cutting people off is a sign of emotional immaturity. Therapists will warn you about isolation. Self-help gurus will preach about vulnerability and connection. They will make you feel broken for choosing solitude. But here is what they will not tell you, what they cannot tell you without dismantling their entire industry. Sometimes the healthiest thing a smart person can do is recognize that most human beings are operating at a level of consciousness so low, so reactive, so driven by ego and insecurity, that engaging with them is like trying to play chess with someone who keeps flipping the board. It is not that you are better than them. It is that you are playing a different game entirely. And the moment you realize this, the moment you see that you have been trying to have a sophisticated conversation in a room full of people throwing food at each other, you have two choices. You can keep pretending you belong there, or you can leave the room. You left the room, and now you are standing in the hallway, alone, wondering if you made a mistake. Let me tell you what actually happened. Let me show you the mechanics of why highly intelligent people eventually cut everyone off, and why this is not pathology, it is strategy. Intelligence is a curse disguised as a gift. You see things others do not see. You notice the micro-expressions, the inconsistencies, the lies hidden inside compliments. When someone says they are happy for you, you hear the slight edge in their voice. When someone offers help, you recognize the transaction they are setting up. You are reading the subtext while everyone else is still sounding out the words. This makes you dangerous to be around, not because you are cruel, but because you cannot be fooled. And most human relationships are built on a foundation of mutual delusion. People need to believe that their friends are loyal, that their family loves them unconditionally, that their partners are faithful. They need these myths to function, but you see the truth. You see that loyalty lasts exactly as long as it is convenient. You see that family love is often just obligation wrapped in guilt. You see that fidelity is a dice roll governed by opportunity and impulse control. Once you see this, you cannot unsee it, and the more you see it, the less you can participate in the charade. So you start to withdraw, not because you are depressed, but because you are awake. And being awake in a world of sleepwalkers is exhausting. Here is the part they do not teach you in school. Human beings are not primarily rational creatures. They are emotional, reactive animals who use logic as a post hoc justification for decisions they have already made in their limbic system. You know this. You have watched people argue passionately for positions that serve their ego, not the truth. You have seen them twist facts, ignore evidence, and attack you personally the moment you threaten their worldview. You learned very quickly that most people do not want truth, they want comfort. They do not want growth, they want validation. They do not want a mirror, they want an audience. And for a while, you tried to be that audience. You nodded along, you affirmed their delusions. You played the role of the supportive friend, the understanding partner, the reliable colleague. But inside, you are dying. Because every time you pretended not to notice the lie, every time you smiled through the manipulation, every time you accepted the disrespect because calling it out would make you the bad guy, you were betraying yourself. You were choosing their comfort over your integrity. And one day, your intelligence simply refused to do it anymore. The cutoff is not emotional, it is computational. Your brain ran the numbers. It calculated the cost of maintaining these relationships versus the benefit. It measured the energy you invest versus the return you receive. It analyzed the pattern of interactions and projected the future. And the result was clear. These relationships are net negative. They drain more than they provide. They cost more than they are worth. This is not cruelty. This is accounting. You're not cutting people off because you hate them. You are cutting them off because you finally love yourself enough to stop accepting a bad deal. Let me be more specific. Let me show you exactly what your intelligence detected that made the cutoff inevitable. You noticed that every time you shared good news, there was a pause before the congratulations. A microsecond of something that looked like disappointment. You noticed that your successes made people uncomfortable. Not because they were bad people, but because your rise reminded them of their stagnation. You became a mirror reflecting their own lack of action, and they resented you for it. So they started to subtly undermine you. A joke that was not quite a joke. A comment that was not quite supportive. A question designed to plant doubt. Why are you doing that? Are you sure that is a good idea? I knew someone who tried that and it did not work out. Death by 1,000 cuts. None of it overt enough to call out, all of it toxic enough to slow you down. Your intelligence recognized this as a pattern. And patterns, once recognized, cannot be ignored. You also noticed the asymmetry. You were always the one reaching out, the one making plans, the one checking in. You were the one who remembered birthdays, who showed up when they needed you, who listened to the same problems on repeat. But when you needed something, when you were struggling, when you could have used some of that energy returned, where were they? Busy, overwhelmed, going through something. They had endless capacity to take, but the moment you needed them to give, the well ran dry. This is not friendship. This is parasitism. And your intelligence, that cold, calculating part of your brain that is not swayed by sentimentality, flagged this relationship as unsustainable. Then there was the gaslighting. The moment you set a boundary, the moment you said no, the moment you stopped being the infinitely available emotional support animal, they turned on you. You are being selfish. You are being sensitive. You are overreacting. They could not accept that you had limits because your limits interfered with their supply. So they tried to convince you that having standards was a character flaw. They pathologized your self-respect. And for a while it worked. You doubted yourself. You wondered if maybe you were being too harsh, too rigid, too cold. But your intelligence kept collecting data. It kept showing you that every time you dropped the boundary, they walked right over it. Every time you gave them another chance, they proved they did not deserve the first one. Eventually, the evidence became overwhelming. These people do not respect you. They use you. And the moment you stop being useful, they will discard you. So you decided to discard them first. This is the Machiavellian pivot. You stopped waiting for them to change. You stopped hoping they would see your value. You stopped participating in a dynamic where you were always the giver and they were always the taker. You took your energy, your time, your emotional resources, and you withdrew them, not out of anger, but out of strategy. Because the most powerful move in any game is the willingness to walk away from a table where you are being cheated. People will tell you this makes you cold. Let them. Cold is just another word for disciplined. Cold is what they call you when you stop letting them take advantage of your warmth. You did not become cold. You became selective. And selection, the ability to choose who gets access to you, is the highest form of power. Now you are in the silence. No more group chats. No more weekend plans. No more obligation to perform the role of the person they needed you to be. And it feels strange. Not bad. Strange. Like stepping out of a loud room into the snow. The absence of noise is so complete that it almost hums. You are waiting for the guilt to come, the regret, the loneliness. And it does come in waves. But here is what you need to understand. that guilt is not real. It is not your conscience telling you that you made a mistake. It is your conditioning. You have been trained since childhood to believe that your value is tied to your usefulness. You have been socialized to think that being needed is the same as being loved. You have been taught that saying no is selfish, that having boundaries is mean, that prioritizing yourself is arrogant. All of this is a lie. It is a lie told by people who benefit from your compliance. Your parents who needed you to be easy, your friends who needed you to be available, your partners who needed you to be accommodating. They built an identity for you that served them, and they called it your personality. The guilt you feel is not you missing them. It is you mourning the death of that false self. The person who smiled when they wanted to scream. The person who said yes when they meant no. The person who absorbed everyone else's chaos so they could feel calm. That person is dead, and you killed them. Good. Let me tell you what happens next. Let me show you the architecture of the rebuild. Because cutting everyone off is only half the equation. The other half is what you do with the space you have created. Most people fail here. They cut everyone off. They sit in the silence for a few weeks, and then they panic. The loneliness becomes unbearable. The doubt becomes deafening. They start to think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I am the problem. Maybe I should apologize and go back. And so they do. They send the text. They make the call. They reopen the door. And within days, sometimes hours, they remember exactly why they left. The same patterns, the same dynamics, the same toxicity. Except now it is worse, because they have taught everyone that their boundaries are negotiable. Do not do this. Do not go back. The silence is not your enemy. The silence is your laboratory. This is where you rebuild your nervous system. For years, possibly decades, your nervous system has been running on a program designed by other people. It has been trained to feel anxiety when you disappoint someone. It has been trained to feel guilt when you prioritize yourself. It has been trained to feel fear when you are alone. These are not natural responses. These are installed responses. And now that you are alone, now that you are free from the constant input of other people's expectations, you can finally reprogram yourself. This is done through exposure. You sit with the discomfort. You feel the anxiety of not being needed and you do not fix it. You feel the guilt of not responding and you do not apologize. You feel the fear of being alone and you do not fill the void with noise. You let it be. You let the feelings come. You observe them and you watch them pass. And slowly, day by day, your nervous system learns a new truth. I am safe without them. I am whole without them. I am enough without them. This is the recalibration. You are teaching your body that peace is not dangerous, that solitude is not abandonment, that silence is not emptiness. You are rewiring decades of programming and it is brutal. But it is necessary, because if you do not do this, if you do not sit in the fire long enough to burn off the old code, you will simply attract the same people in different bodies. You will find new friends who need you the same way, new partners who take the same way, new colleagues who drain you the same way. The faces will change, but the pattern will repeat, because you will still be operating from the same frequency. The frequency of the person who is afraid to be alone, who equates their worth with their utility, who believes that love is something you earn through service. You must break this frequency, and the only way to break it is to prove to yourself, through lived experience, that you do not need anyone to be okay. While you are in the silence, you are also watching. You are studying the people you removed, not with bitterness, but with curiosity. You are reverse engineering the dynamics. You are asking yourself the questions you were too close to ask before. What did I get from that friendship? What role was I playing? What was I afraid would happen if I stopped playing it? You start to see the patterns with painful clarity. You were the therapist friend who never got therapy in return. You were the hype person who never got hype. You were the safety net who never had a net of your own. You were cast in a role and you played it so well that everyone forgot you were acting, including you. Now you see it, and once you see it, you can choose differently. You can decide what roles you are willing to play going forward. You can write a new script, but this time you are the director, not the extra. You also start to notice something else. The people who left your life without a fight, who did not reach out, who did not ask what happened, they are showing you who they were all along. They are proving that your absence is not a loss to them, because your presence was only valuable when it was serving them. This hurts, but it is also clarifying. You do not have to wonder anymore. You do not have to make excuses for them. They have shown you the truth. Believe them. And then, after weeks or months of silence, something shifts. You wake up one day, and the first thought in your mind is not about them. It is about you, what you want to build, where you want to go, who you want to become. This is the signal. This is the moment your energy has fully returned to you. You are no longer leaking power into dead relationships. You are no longer spending emotional currency on people who do not invest back. You are whole. And from this place of wholeness, you can finally start to build something real. But here is the Machiavellian principle you must understand. The goal is not to find new people to fill the void. The goal is to become so complete within yourself that other people become optional, not necessary. When you need people, you are weak. You are negotiating from scarcity. You are willing to tolerate disrespect because you are afraid of being alone. But when you are complete, when you have built a life that is fulfilling and meaningful on its own, people become an enhancement, not a requirement. And this changes everything. It changes how you show up. It changes what you tolerate. It changes who is attracted to you. People can smell desperation. They can sense when you need them. And the ones who are predators, the manipulators, the narcissists, the energy vampires, they are drawn to that need like sharks to blood. But when you do not need anyone, when you are genuinely content in your solitude, you emit a different frequency. You emit self-sufficiency. And this repels the predators. They cannot feed on you because you are not hungry. Instead, you start to attract a different kind of person, the kind who is also self-sufficient, the kind who does not need you to fix them because they have already fixed themselves, the kind who shows up not because they need something from you, but because they genuinely enjoy your company. These people are rare, extremely rare, but they exist, and they only appear when you have cleared out the noise. When you are standing alone, solid, unshakable, they recognize you because you are like them. You are an island, and islands do not beg for connection. They simply exist, and the right ships find their shore. This is the paradox of the cutoff. You remove everyone to find anyone worth keeping. You burn the forest to see which seeds survive the fire. Most people are too afraid to do this. They would rather live in a crowded room of mediocre relationships than risk the terror of being alone. But you are not most people. You are intelligent enough to see the long game. You understand that temporary loneliness is the price of permanent peace. You understand that you cannot build an empire while you are busy managing other people's emotions. You understand that the most dangerous thing you can do is stay in environments that keep you small. So you left. And now you are here in the void, wondering if you will ever connect with anyone again. The answer is yes, but not in the way you connected before. You will never again bond over shared dysfunction. You will never again mistake codependency for intimacy. You will never again confuse being needed with being valued. The connections you build from here will be different. They will be clean, reciprocal, respectful. They will be built on mutual growth, not mutual wounds. And if you never find those connections, if you spend the rest of your life in selective solitude, that is still a better fate than spending it in crowded loneliness. Let me give you the framework. Let me show you how to operate from here. First, you must accept that you are now operating outside the social norms. Most people will not understand you. They will see your solitude as a red flag. They will interpret your boundaries as hostility. Let them. You are not trying to be understood by the masses. You are trying to be respected by the few. Second, you must become comfortable with being misunderstood. This is the tax you pay for intelligence. The smarter you are, the fewer people will get you, and that is okay. You do not need to be gotten. You need to be effective. Third, you must build your life in such a way that it does not require other people to function. Your happiness cannot be contingent on someone else's presence. Your sense of worth cannot be tied to external validation. Your daily routine, your goals, your sense of meaning, all of it must be self-generated. This is not easy. It goes against every social instinct you have, but it is the only way to be truly free. Fourth, when you do let people in, and you will, you must do so strategically. You must vet them. You must watch how they behave when they do not get what they want. You must test their respect for your boundaries. You must observe whether they add to your life or subtract from it. And the moment you see a red flag, the moment you detect the old pattern, you must be willing to cut them off immediately. No second chances, no benefit of the doubt. One strike and they are out. This will seem harsh to people who are used to your old self. Good. Harsh is what keeps the parasites away. Fifth, you must learn to enjoy your own company. Not just tolerate it, enjoy it. You must become your own best friend, your own entertainer, your own counsel. You must build a relationship with yourself that is so rich, so fulfilling, that other people feel like a distraction from it, not an escape from loneliness. This is the ultimate power move. When you are genuinely happy alone, you become unmanipulable, because the primary tool of manipulation is the threat of withdrawal. If you will be alone if you do not comply, then you will comply. But if you prefer being alone to being disrespected, then the threat has no power. You have removed the leverage. And without leverage, manipulators cannot touch you. Sixth, you must accept that this path is lonely, not in the sad sense, but in the numerical sense. There are not many people who operate at this level. There are not many people who have done the work to become whole. There are not many people who value truth over comfort. You will spend a lot of time alone, but you will also spend that time building something that most people never build. A self that cannot be shaken. A mind that cannot be fooled. A life that cannot be taken from you. This is the trade. You give up the illusion of connection for the reality of sovereignty. Now let me address the fear. The fear that you are broken. The fear that you are a sociopath. The fear that you have lost your humanity. You have not. You have simply stopped confusing empathy with self-sacrifice. You have stopped confusing love with tolerance. You have stopped confusing connection with obligation. You still feel. You still care. But you care selectively. And selective care is not a pathology. It is a strategy. You cannot care about everyone. You do not have the bandwidth. No one does. The people who claim to care about everyone are either lying or they care about no one deeply. You have chosen to care deeply about a few things: yourself, your mission, your growth, and the rare individuals who prove themselves worthy of your investment. This is not cold, this is focused, and focus is the only way to build anything meaningful. Diffuse your energy across 100 shallow relationships and you will build nothing. Concentrate your energy on yourself and a select few, and you will build an empire. The people you cut off, they are still out there. They are still living their lives. And some of them are probably talking about you, wondering what happened, maybe even missing you. Let them wonder. Let them miss the version of you that served them. That version is gone, and you are not going back to resurrect it. If they truly valued you, they will reach out. They will ask what happened. They will take responsibility for their part. And if they do, if they come correct, with humility and genuine change, then maybe you can consider letting them back in. But most will not. Most will simply move on to the next person who is willing to play the role you vacated. And that is fine. That is their path. Yours is different now. You are walking a road that most people do not have the courage to walk. A road where you are alone, but you are free. A road where you are misunderstood, but you are powerful. A road where you have fewer people, but the right people. This is the road of the intelligent, the strategic, the sovereign. It is not an easy road, but it is the only road that leads to a life where you are not constantly betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. And that is worth every lonely night, every misunderstood boundary, every person who calls you cold. You cut everyone off because you finally understood that you cannot save people who do not want to be saved. You cannot fix people who do not think they are broken. You cannot love people into loving you back. All you can do is protect your energy, invest it wisely, and build a life that reflects your true values, not the values that were programmed into you. This is not the end of your social life. This is the beginning of your real life. The life where you are the architect, not the tenant. The life where you choose your company, not the other way around. The life where you are respected, not used. It starts here in the silence, in the void, in the space you cleared by having the courage to cut off everyone who was keeping you small. Sit in this space. Do not rush to fill it. Let it teach you. Let it show you who you are when you are not performing for an audience. Let it reveal the strength you did not know you had. And when you are ready, when you are fully recalibrated, you will step back into the world. But you will step back as a different person. A person who knows their worth. The person who does not negotiate their boundaries. A person who would rather be alone than be disrespected. And that person, that version of you is unstoppable. The world will call you cold. Let them. You know the truth. You are not cold. You are awake. And in a world full of people who are sleepwalking through, life being awake makes you dangerous, not to others but to the systems that rely on your compliance. You have removed yourself from the game. You have stopped playing by rules that were designed to keep you losing. And now you are writing your own rules. This is the Machiavellian mindset. Not cruelty for the sake of cruelty, but strategy for the sake of survival. Not isolation for the sake of isolation, but selectivity for the sake of sanity. You did not cut everyone off because you are broken. You cut everyone off because you are finally whole enough to see that they were the ones breaking you. And now that you see it, you can never unsee it. So you move forward. Alone, but unbroken. Misunderstood, but unmoved. Cold to those who do not matter. Warm to those who earn it. This is your new operating system. This is your power. Welcome to the other side.